squad stays at number one even after taking its first loss of the year, dropping to 5-1. Because I still like the outlook for this team. James Robinson is proven to be one of the better RB2s in the league right now. And now you slide in Darrell Williams, who's looking really good in his first full start. Honestly, you can make the case that he looked better than Clyde Edwards-Helaire has ever looked. This team still keeps putting up points, even with Darren Waller having a pretty, average season right now. If Waller ever comes alive, this team gets a whole lot better. Well, this organization has reached a full NBA jam on fire, reeling off 3 in a row, and now the highest scoring team in the league by about 27 points. This team has the best RB duo in the league, sporting the number 3 and number 4 running back. Lamar is putting himself in that MVP conversation, has a good tight end duo rotation going on right now. And really the success of this team is going to come down to the receivers. Deebo Samuel I have down as the make it or break it person on the squad. Gonna need him to keep producing, because if the receivers start falling off, I don't know, even with how good that running back duo is, if it can keep carrying this team for a win. But for right now, with the performances, no reason to put this team any lower, putting them at number 2. The Hedgehogs lose their third loss of the year, dropping to 500, but really no reason to hang their hats after losing to the highest scoring team in a tight finish on Sunday night. Really what the Hedgehogs have proven since taking over the front office of the organization is they're going to put out a consistent product week in and week out. Really very few stumbles that we see. Hopefully you guys can hear Jason screaming at Overwatch in the background there, screaming at 8-year-olds and crying his face off. But anyways, back to the Hedgehogs. Yeah, one stumble on the year so far, but really putting up 120 points week in and week out. Only black hole in this team right now is Tyler Lockett, but with Elijah Mitchell coming back off bye and maybe healthy, looks like he'll be the RB1 for the 49ers right now, so he can patch up that hole really quickly. I like this team moving forward. Wilson pulls off his second win in a row and has really looked really good lately. The reason why I have him here at 4 is because he's giving Capsh a run for his money for worst running back duo in the league right now, partially because Wilson's now sponsored by the blue tent of the NFL. Look at his bench. It is riddled with people on the IR, as Kareem hit the IR this week, and still Nick Chubb is injured, leaving him with Marlon Mack and Miles Sanders to lead the troops, which could total 4 points or under very easily, putting a lot of pressure on Devontae Adams, AB, and Henry Ruggs to perform and carry the load. Of course, we know Adams will do that, but AB's been hit or miss sometimes, and Henry Ruggs is a deep shot or nothing. So right now, injury woes for this team. However, fully healthy, I wouldn't want to run into them. But for the time being, going to put them at number 4. KO finds himself at number 5 after dropping 2 in a row, but really that's more a product of the league just being an outstanding competitive league versus KO having a bad team, because he doesn't. I mean, even with Clyde out, a great running back duo in Najee and DeAndre Swift, adding DJ Moore, and then Mark Andrews lighting up the world, passing up Waller in the tight end rankings for right now, and creeping up on Kelsey as tight end 1. If you can just find some production from Devontae Parker or Allen Robinson, just 10 points here or there, and that's a great way to round out this team. So, still positive view on this team, but for right now, putting them right about in the middle at number 5. Tony's boys find themselves in the middle of another streak after dropping 3 in a row earlier this year. They now pulled off their second win in a row, led by the plethora of receivers this team can throw out there with DeAndre Hopkins, Ja'Marr Chase, Mike Williams, Chris Godwin. Sure, it's stressful for the owner to figure out which receiver he sits, but the good news is he can't really go wrong as they all continue to produce. Although Mike Williams did have his second dud of the year, but that was more the Chargers' whole team having a dud than an individual performance. And now Dalvin Cook is back, looking like the Dalvin of old. Mahomes throwing picks, leading the league in picks, but still puts up points for fantasy. Getting some production for Zach Moss. So it's a pretty solid team from top to bottom. putting them at number 6, and if they can keep pulling off wins, although, have some bye issues this week and running into the Founder, it'll be tough to do, but if they can pull off the win, I can see them jumping a little bit higher next week. Strong performance by Plim Plan, being able to hold off the King on Monday night with a little help from Sean McDermott going for it on 4th down instead of going to overtime, where they easily would have scored the Titans and won that way. But really, it's been the success has been for Plimmer finding pieces to plug in, with Tony Pollard now being a consistent flex, even as the second running back on the Cowboys. He's looking really good. Emmanuel Sanders consistently producing around 10 points, 10 to 15 points. Those two have really helped out. And Henderson is looking like an every week stud. Has the easy schedule coming up too, so really like that RB duo. Just needs to find himself a consistent quarterback. He's playing around with Sam Darnold and Taylor Heineke, but there's enough quarterbacks to go around on the waiver wire that's really a reason to drop anyone that far. So putting him here at number 6. I find myself in the biggest drought in the league right now, dropping 3 in a row due to a series of events that I just alluded to in Plimmer's blurb. But still got a lot of confidence in my team. Still top half in points for and top half in points given up. So it shows that I'm putting up points. Things aren't going my way right now, but feeling good. Strategically picked players that have really, really late buys. If you look, almost everyone on my team has a buy in week 10 or later. So I'll be running into teams with a lot of studs on their bench, and I'll be able to reel off wins here and there, maybe, even 4 in a row, some might say. And, I'm one of those people. So dropping to number 7, don't see myself going that much further. At number 8, some might say this ranking's too low. Well, I'll say I think it's really clear who the fake ID of this league is this year, and that is Mr. Kyle Lieber from Palatine. I mean, you look at this team, no one's going to scare you. I mean, pick a player. Who are you terrified of? Leonard Fournette, maybe? He seems to be a really good find for Lieber, actually. Now the clear RB1 for the Bucs. Every week starter. But Mike Evans, T. Higgins, Marquise Browns, these guys are all full of duds that they're going to put up throughout the year. Of course, each of them are capable of putting up 20 points or even 30 points, but we know the duds are coming as well. Now, Dawson Knox injured. McCaffrey hits the IR. Ridley has not looked like what he was supposed to be, so a lot of question marks surrounding this team. 4-2 right now, but that might be the most over 500 they see themselves through the rest of the year. Huge victory for El Verde and the boys, taking down the former only undefeated team in the ICPA, putting up near 120 points. Nice 13-point win. I'm sure he'll feel disrespected by this 10th place ranking, but coming off a 4-game losing streak and putting one win together doesn't merit enough to rise him that far up the rankings. I would just say, hey, do it again. Just do it again. His last win, he followed it up with a 72-point outing. So avoid that, put up another win, and then we'll be a little less complaining. While A.J. Brown was able to overcome food poisoning, leading to his first strong showing of the year, still doesn't stop the poison that we all feel in our stomachs when looking at this team. Alvin Kamara coming back, of course, is huge for the squad, but there's still more question marks on this team that I can count on one finger. So a lot to figure out before I move them anywhere up the rankings. Another loss that his team took this past week, and it looks like there could be another loss on the horizon as well.